Hello, in this screencast, I'm going to show you the features of thatquiz.org and also how to use a teacher account to assign tests to your students, design your own, and even access quizzes by others. So, quick tour of thatquiz.org. This is a site that is free and without advertising, so it's very useful to have in school. Particularly if you are a math teacher, you have things all the way from K to 12 that you can do with your math students. So I'll just kind of take you through a few of the math features here, starting with arithmetic. If you want to set the level down to like level 2, you can have very simple math problems and you can just restrict it to just addition here. And then students can complete these math problems, and you can see over here on the right where my mouse is, that tells you if you get it right or wrong. So if you happen to put in like a wrong answer, it will show you that you were wrong. It's also got this nice clock here, and then you can move this up all the way over. So I'm going to click reset here, and we're going to change the level up a little bit, and let's change this to like level 12. We can add in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So now we might be moving up into like a third, fourth grade level in which students are doing a variety of problems. Kind of like, think about like a Mad Minute. You may have done a Mad Minute in your previous schooling. And this is a great way, excuse me, to complete a Mad Minute, because you could even change like the length to like 100 and see how many students can complete in a given time, because you can even turn on a timer if you so desire. How many can you complete in a minute? So you can go really quickly here and see what you are able to do as you do that. So that just gives you an idea of the math. Now, you're not limited to just basic math problems. You can also incorporate these. You can add negatives if you're getting into sort of that 6th, 7th pre-algebra kind of things. There's a lot more that you can do. I'm going to go back to the home page here, because you're not limited to just basic numbers. You can go up to algebra, where you can solve equations. You can go all the way to calculus, if you so desire, and solve various kinds of functions with derivatives and all sorts of different things. So back here, you can also go to basic fraction arithmetic if you want to do that. You also have just like nice things like identifying fractions. So if you're introducing fractions at that grade 1-2 level, you can get the very visual action of the fractions here for students to solve. And again, you can always change the level to level up or down. You can change these to fill-in fractions. There's a lot, so many ways to do this. You've got ordering and different things here. So if there is something that you do in math, it is available on here. Everything from geometry. One of the other ones that's great at the elementary level is even just money. We can go by quarters. We can go to compare. We can go to make change. So you just put those in there, and then an easy way, it's a great way even if you're just teaching, to have it up on screen to kind of show students these various things. So a very handy site for anything math related, and you can see all of the different things here that you're able to do. There's also vocabulary, and so you've got a variety of vocabulary things to complete in 4 main languages there, common languages. And then you also have geography. So for instance, if you go to the Americas, if you've ever taught 4th grade social studies, one of the things that you have to do is usually do like a regions or something with the 50 states. And so you can do that USA here, and then you just start rearranging your states. And it's a great way, because if you've ever had to grade one of these, it's a real pain to try and grade a state test. Not fun at all. It takes a while to do. So this will take care of it and grade it all for you. And then you just move on to the next region and so forth. And you've got all these other different areas that you can do in the Americas if you so choose. So you can even just do South America and identify all the countries in South America if you're teaching geography. Now, back to here, you've also got a number of science things. I really like the anatomy. You can go from simple to complex. So this has obviously a lot of very specific bones, but if you want to tone it down a little bit, you can get a lot fewer bones, kind of get to the more main areas, and then you can kind of look at different areas, and you can do all these different things. You can even get the digestive system is great. And again, if you kind of put it on like level 1 in the digestive system, we get just the most basic parts. And then you go all the way through. You can do the venous system or the respiratory system. It's a lot of really valuable tests that you can do. Now, All of these are great for just practice, but the best part is that you can assign these tests. You can create a class and you can assign these tests. And so that is something that is very, very valuable too. And I'm going to show you that right now. So here we are. This is what your home screen will look like if you were just logging in and creating an account. And again, you can create an account. If you need to create an account, you just click the little create an account button right there. But once you're inside here, you are going to arrive at a screen that looks like this. You're going to create a new class. And so you need to give your class a name. The level isn't that big of a deal. And then you will put in, for now, you can just put in 2 names. You can just put in your name. And then you can also put in my name if you are doing that to create a sample class. And then you're gonna click save. I'm actually gonna cancel that for right now and not bother creating that class because I'm just gonna show you a class that I have already created. And I'll just look at this sample class here. And so now, once you've created the class, you wanna click on edit class one more time. And this is something that's really important here. You're gonna see none of these will be checked, these checkboxes when you begin. And so what you will wanna do, first of all, is check homepage with passwords. I think that that's an important thing to have the homepage with passwords because then when your students log in, they have to enter a password and they can't take someone's test even by accident. You can uncheck or check. The students can review grades. It's just up to you, and then require passwords. I usually check that box too. Once you have created your student list and added a password, for me, for this class, you can just call the password 601. And then you're going to go up here. And this right here, this little link right here is very, very important. And I'm actually going to have you open that right now. So if you click here, right there, that's going to give you your URL for the class. To show you what this looks like, so for my classes, if I go to my website, I have that quiz links for my classes right on the front page. So if the class of 2016 needs to take a quiz, they go here and they click on theirs, and you can see that we have Dominic, Jesus, Carl, Isaiah, and then they would just select their name and then enter their password. So this is what this looks like. The class of 2016, I'm their teacher, and then any test that I have assigned once they log in will be right there. Alternatively, if I go to the class of 2017, they have a completely different link, and you can see that their names pop up, and I can select one of their names, and then I just enter the password, or they enter their password, and they're ready to go. So it's a very simple thing, setting up a class, entering the password, and I can see, like, for student A, the password right there is pass for this particular test. And now, make sure you save once you are done. Remember to keep this open because this is your URL. And now you can start assigning tests. So let's say that we want to assign a simple Mad Minute to our sample class. So I'm going to say, I want to see how many problems you can get done out of 100 in, I'm just going to say for 2 minutes. Okay, I want it to be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and I can just call this Mad Minute 1. Now, I make sure that I've got the sample class as my class checked, and I click Assign Test. Now, if I flip over here, and I click on Student A for my sample class, I put in the password, and I can see, whoa, I've got a lot of tests. There's my assigned tests that have been completed. And ooh, this is a lot of tests here. So there's math right here that was assigned. That's not it, actually. Let me go back here. Did I assign that to the right class? Mad Minute 1, yes. I gotta actually, sometimes if you don't see a test, then just refresh the page and log in again, and then you'll see the test. There it is. There's Mad Minute 1. So that's what this happens occasionally with students where you don't see the test listed, and they just need to refresh the page, and then the test will be there. So here is my test that I can take, and you know, I can see how many I can get correctly in 2 minutes. Right now, I'm just going to click Finish Later. That's one of the other great things is, yes, save my work and finish later, and then I can just quit. So students can even just finish tests later if they get started on a test, and then it will show that they are partially completed. So if I go here, I've assigned this test. Now I can go and I can assign other tests if I want. And so I go back again, and this time I'm going to assign a geography test. And let's assign one of those 50 states tests. So I can go to USA and I'm going to say states quiz. I'm going to assign that to my sample class. I flip back over to the tab that has my sample class. I'm going to refresh again. I'll log back in as student A. Now I can see that my states quiz is assigned. So I'll click here. I can do my states quiz. Oops, I put Connecticut in the wrong spot there. Oops, I still got it in the wrong spot. And I complete this. And again, I'm going to finish later on this one. So once I've got the first level complete, I can click OK, and it's going to give me that finish later option. And then I'll just quit and close out of this window. And now I'm going to go back to my teacher screen. So again, to keep track here, this is your teacher screen. Whenever you see this left sidebar with see test, grades, edit class, that's a teacher screen. Whenever you're on this screen, whether you are here or whether you are here, this is your class screen. And you'll notice that the class, it says class page, and it has a weird number combination up here in the URL. That's basically what you're looking for. You know you've got your class page when you're here. So if I want to work as a student, I'm going to be on the class page. If I want to work as a teacher, I'm going to be on this page. So that's kind of the basic way that you can look at tests. And then now the cool thing is I can look at grades, and I can see that student A has not completed, so they're highlighted in yellow, so it says saved or incomplete, where they're at right here. So obviously the percentage is very low because I only just started a test. So let me show you another example here. If I go to my class of 2017, and I'm going to look at the last, since we've been out of school for a little bit, I'm going to look at this chemistry test. And this is nice here because this is the results of a chemistry test that my whole class took. I can see that the class average was 84. One of the neat things that I can do is I really, really like this feature of the frequently missed. If I go to frequently missed, I say there were 13 people that took the test, but 2 of these questions were questions that a majority of the class missed. Now that tells me 2 things. Either 1, the question was confusing for students, or 2, it's something they didn't cover very well in class. So I really like this feature because it gives me a way to really examine how students are doing. So I can see which kind of type of gas would make your voice deeper. And so in this one, argon gas would make your voice deeper. This was something that we had kind of hit on because we talked about helium and making your voice higher, but we didn't really talk about why. And so I can see why students would miss that. This was a unit that we covered very quickly at the end of the year because school was about to end. And so we didn't really spend a lot of detail on it. The other one, acids and bases, was one we'd really covered very, very quickly. We were more concerned about some of the basic reading of the periodic table than getting into deep chemistry of things. So that's kind of helpful that I can see what frequently missed. And then I can go to individual students and I can see what individual students missed. I can click on the questions and see how they answered various questions. And I can see which questions were commonly missed, which questions were, ones that people did very well. So people got alkali metals very well. Like I said, we spent a lot of time just covering some of the basics of the periodic table, and I can see that students did very well. And these are essay questions, and I'll show you those here in a second. But if I go back to the main screen here, one of the cool things that I can see is essay questions. And so I click essay, and I'm going to go to these ones down here. And so I'm going to get out of the full year and into the chemistry question bank here. And so let's look here at one example. So here's Dion got 5 out of 5 on this. They had to choose an element from the periodic table. And so I scored it 5 out of 5 because he was able to answer all parts of that particular question, identifying the atomic number and the atomic mass and the number of outside electrons, the number of shells and the number of outside electrons, which he actually did not get correct on that one. So he actually should have gotten 4 out of 5. So I misgraded that one. But then here you can see that this is a question that he didn't answer as well as I would have liked. So on this one, it says describe why dry ice boils when warm water is poured on it. And he says it's extremely cold, the warm water is hot. Not really an adequate answer. So I just put in blue here is my teacher comments. And then you can see the score that I have. So essays are very easy to grade on thatquiz.org. And this is a test that I have created. This is not a pre-formatted test. So really what I've gone through so far here is creating a class. And so if we go back to our sample class here, you can always click on edit class and you can edit your class and you can put in the passwords. You need to make sure that you get the URL for the home page of your specific class. And then you can assign tests accordingly. And you can see that for the class of 2017, if I go to see tests, I have assigned over the years here a number of different tests for them. And I can track all their grades by clicking on grades, and I can look at all time, and I can see all time all the different tests that they have done and completed over the years. So this is a very, very informative and helpful feature. And once again, it is free and it does not have any advertising. So very, very helpful feature. Another thing that's really excellent is this browse feature. If you want to look for tests that others have created, you can look for those tests, and obviously there are 570 pages of tests that people have created. You can also search by a specific teacher. So if I want to just go see all the tests that I have shared, obviously there's a few Mansours here, so there's Mansour, and I can just click on my name, and I can see these are all the tests. I've got 3 pages of tests that you can scroll through, and you can actually use tests created by other teachers. So that's a really helpful feature here. So if we want to see, here's someone who's done some sort of a Bible test on Genesis here, and I can scroll through and see if I like the questions, and I can go ahead and take this test. I can print it off for others to take if I want. I can also go back here, and one of the nice things is when you're in this screen, when you're in the teacher screen, you can actually assign the test directly to one of your classes, or you can import the test. Now, if you import the test, that's going to allow you to make modifications to that. So let's just say, for instance, that I want to import this Genesis chapter 2. I'm going to click import, and now it's going to put it here. So on the design. So I'm on the design screen now. When I'm in the design screen, these are all tests that I've created, with the exception of this Genesis one. I didn't create this, but I've imported it into mine. So now I can go through and I can see all the questions that are on it, and I can make modifications to all of these questions. So you don't have to create everything yourself, but if you want to pull from others, you can modify it as you see fit. So let's go back to the design screen here. Here, for instance, is that chemistry question bank. I designed this. This is a multiple choice test, but it also has essay questions in it, and you can also see essay questions. And so this particular year, we did not cover how to do balanced chemical equations, because like I said, it was a very quick unit in chemistry. So, but I still keep those in the bank. Now, when I assign a test, I can go and take any questions out that I want. So what I do is I always create a bank of questions, and from year to year, I'll use different questions. Sometimes I'll even have questions asking that are similar to each other, and I'll just use one of those for the test. So how do you create these? Let's go back to the design screen. And to create a test, you just go to questions. You click questions, and that will be a multiple choice test. Now, this is a relatively simple process. You just type in sample, whatever your question would be. And then you would type in here, you would type in your answer. You do not need to randomize the answers on yourself. You just put in these: incorrect 1, incorrect 2, incorrect. And you don't have to use all of them. You could just use a few if you so desire. You give the test a name. I always change the order to random. The reason being is now if I have students testing in a computer lab or even on laptops right next to each other, they're all going to get different questions. Not only will it randomize the questions, but it will randomize the answers. So that's really handy. You can add in special characters. You can make it case sensitive. If you want to have a fill in the blank question, I would do this: fill in the blank, and then I would just put answer. And then I would leave the rest of the choices blank. And this will create a fill in the blank question for you. Another thing that you can do is you can also add pictures. So if you have a picture that goes along with something that you're doing, so for instance, I'll grab a little picture that I have here on the desktop. I can grab this little guy right here, that screenshot that I have of a graphic. So I'm going to choose this screenshot graphic that is on my desktop. There we go. I can open that, and that image will upload very quickly. I can accept it, and then now my question will have a picture with it. And so you can have students analyze a graph. Sometimes I'll just create a little graph or have something on a spreadsheet with a table of numbers and have students analyze that information to answer a question. And then you can also do this with essays. So you can add an essay, and you can put in your essay question. You can also put in a video. So if you want to have students watch a video or a clip of a video, and then analyze it, they can also do that. So that's a really handy feature. You can put in pictures, you can put in videos, you can add essay questions, and you can also randomize questions throughout, and it takes care of it, all of it for you, and it grades all of it for you, as we already saw previously in the grade screen. I want to cancel this one right now and show you that you can also make matching quizzes, and these matching quizzes are all here, and you just put in the matching value 1 and the matching value, and it'll mix them all up for you, and you're good to go there. So really handy feature. You can also do slides. I've used slides for a few things. I don't use them very often. So here's an example of a slides one that I've done, just identifying muscles and bones, and then you just make these little things, and students will kind of drag the correct muscle to where it goes. So that's another handy feature if you want to make a more detailed test. So quick review here. We've looked at what are tests that are pre-made for you that you can assign right here on the common test, mostly math, geography, and some science. There's also vocab for foreign languages. You can browse tests that other people have made. You can assign them or you can import them. You can also print these off. I find that the easiest way to do that is if you find that particular test, you click on it, and then you just click the print, and it makes it in a very nice, manageable format that you can print off very easily. One example that I've done with this is all these nice tests here are tests about Spanish. So I worked with some people on creating all of these different Spanish tests for 7th and 8th grade. They're hosted on the Omaha Consortium, so if you search for that, you can find those particular tests. So that's a really handy feature. You're not just limited to the things that you create, but you can design your own. If you go here and you just click questions and you click matching, and then you select a test once you've designed it and press assign. So what your task will be to do is design your own test. You'll then see it in your test bank, and then you assign that to the class that you have created with my name in it. So once you've created a test, you click assign, and now you can look at the C test for there, and you'll see that the Genesis O2 class test has been assigned. But before I take it, let's go ahead. Now that it's assigned, I can click it and I can click edit. And I'm going to take out about the last 10 questions here. So I'm going to go ahead and take out these last, actually just 4 or 5 questions here. And I can delete those because I don't want those in the test this year. I make sure it's on a random order. There's no time limit. If I have any instructions for this particular test, I can put those on. And before students take the test, those will pop up in there. I have a lot of options on here that students can save, or students have to complete the test. I can show the grades. I can have students navigate backwards or not. These are all handy features that you can use. And when you're done, you just click save. And now you tell your students, hey, I've assigned a test to you. Head to our class testing site right here. I'm going to refresh it again just to make sure that all the tests are in there. Student clicks on his or her name, and there's the test ready for them to take. And this is what it looks like. So they can click on the answers and proceed, and you'll be able to see the results of all those. So this is thatquiz.org. It is one of my favorite sites to use because it is limitless in its capabilities for assessment. I really, really enjoy it, and there's tons of pre-made things for you, especially great for math, geography, and science. So that is all.